Welcome back to the Black Hills and Eastern Railroad, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at a couple of free pieces of software that I am using to draw track plan diagrams for switch control panels on my HO scale model railroad. You can use these in any scale, and there's plenty of different tutorials out there on the wiring, putting LEDs in and putting the switches in. And I may go into that later, but I wanted to show you my experience here using this pair of open source free tools to get the track plans drawn and printed and out on a panel. So let's get started here. So the first tool that we're going to get started with is called Inkscape. This tool is new to me, and I just want to do, I'm by no means an expert here. I would have maybe showed you InDesign in Adobe, but I realize that's going to limit some people as far as their ability to get a hold of that just because of the cost of it and the learning curve. I picked this up and found it fairly easy to use, so hopefully if I can, so can you. So take a look at this. Inkscape runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, I believe, and maybe some other platforms as well. So it should fit whatever you've got. If you've got a reasonably modern computer here, this laptop that I'm recording on is fairly old, so you probably be able to get by with it on if you have a few year old computer to work with. Anyway, we're going to get started. Inkscape comes up with this quick setup dialog here. We're just going to jump over to time to draw, and then I'm going to go to select print, and I'm going to select US letter landscape style. And what's going to come up is we're going to bring a canvas up and we're going to start drawing. So what I'm going to want here, and I'm just going to draw the track plan diagram itself. I'm going to add the artwork in GIMP. And I want a connector line, and I forgot one step here. I'm going to go ahead and open the view dialog here and say I want in the grid lines is what I wanted. So we're going to want to darken that line here, and I can modify this line a little bit or draw more. What I'm wanting to do here now is switch back to the pointer cursor and select that here, and then I'm going to go over to my properties basically area over here, and I'm going to go to stroke paint. Stroke style, and I'm going to want to move that up to, we're going to change this over to millimeters, and I'm going to go with 0.5 here. Actually not, I'm going to go to 5 millimeters, I'm sorry. And that's going to give us that line. So let's consider that our main line here, and I want to move that up just a little bit. We're doing the Whitewood Yard on my Black Hills and Eastern Railroad, and the first thing I'm going to want here is a switch. So I'm going to draw another connector line. We're going to want this fairly high up on the page here because actually we're going to do one track above and 2 tracks below. So let's get started here. So another connector line, and I'm going to start from the middle here and come up. And again, I'm going to do my stroke style. Want that 5 millimeters. And then we are going to draw another one and elongate that and just click and drag. And we're going to go 5 millimeters on that. And just so we want that, we don't want that break there in the line. So we're just going to go ahead and move that over. Then, so here's my passenger track or passenger station track. I'm going to want a couple of passing sidings, if you will, or basically just sidings. So I'm going to extend this. So I need 2 tracks here coming off of this one switch. So we have switch further, I guess, further east. So that's effectively Inkscape for your basic track plan. You could use this whole thing, just Inkscape itself. If you were proficient enough with this tool, you could add your graphics and your lettering and stuff like that. I am not. I'm just giving you my personal experience. I'm not giving you advice here or anything. I'm just giving you an alternative to something you can do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and save this document. So once I've got everything tidied up in Inkscape that I want on my track plan diagram here, I'm going to go ahead and select everything and then hit the file export. And what I'm going to want to do here is bring the DPI up to 300 DPI. That's I believe dots per inch. And then we're going to select the file name Whitewood down here, and that's going to give us the proper resolution we're going to need to import into GIMP. So then I'm going to hit the export button here. I've already done the export once, so I'm going to go ahead and overwrite. And then you can join us over in GIMP. So while we're taking a little break here, I wanted to show you my desktop and a couple of switch engines that I did for a client several years back. These are progressive rail units from the Twin Cities. And I did these for him for a switching layout, and I'm not sure if he still has them or not, but those are certainly handsome units, aren't they? This picture is taken on my now defunct Sioux Junction HO scale railroad. We'll jump into GIMP now. Actually, first before that, I wanted to show you a little prep work that I did here. On each one of these switch panels that I'm going to put together, I'm going to honor the existing railroad or the railroad we're modeling, and then the predecessor railroad. In this case, we're doing Whitewood, South Dakota, so DM&E is the current railroad, or we're modeling that as the current railroad, and the Northwestern is the previous or the heritage railroad here, Progressive Rail. And speaking of Progressive Rail, they're known to honor their M&S history, and as many other railroads are. And we'll do the same here. So I've got quite a few different other railroads here, most notably the Q. The CB&Q Burlington route, we're going to be doing quite a bit of those. We're going to be doing Great Northern, of course, has some trackage that we're modeling as Burlington Northern. Both of these, CB&Q and Great Northern, went into Burlington Northern. Also, we've got the Milwaukee Road and the DNI, of course, the DNI running on former Milwaukee Road right away. And I think that wraps it up. So we got the Northwestern running on the DM&E. So let's get started over in GIMP. So we've opened up GIMP, and as I mentioned before, GIMP is an open source piece of software. It's free. It runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux, among other platforms. And I've gone ahead and opened the program here. This is basically an open source alternative to Photoshop. It does a lot of stuff. What we're going to do first is we're going to open up a new file here. And what we want is 300 DPI. So we don't mismatch, and I'm going to go ahead and do inches here. 11, height is 5.5, width is 11, and we're going to hit OK. And I'll go ahead and save this right away. So we finally are in the place where we're going to save. I'm going to go ahead and save this as Whitewood, and that's going to save basically a project file. Then what we will do is we'll go ahead and track down the location. So you might remember the last thing we did in Inkscape was to export to a PNG file. And I'm going to go ahead and just click and drag that out onto the canvas here in GIMP, and we get exactly what we expect. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit, hold my control key and mouse wheel down. And then I'm going to want to move this around on the screen just a little bit. Then here we got a couple of tasks for us. So you remember we got organized with the icons. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those out onto the canvas here, and just click and drag from and we're going to need this move icon or this move tool in GIMP, and that's about the right size right there. That resolution is perfect. And then we're going to want that DM&E logo. I want the more modern DM&E logo. I think that looks a bunch better than the older one. And so this is a little big for what we're going to want here. I can do a layer, and I'm going to do a resize. So you might be tracking with me here that I've got stuff showing up over here on the right. Those are my layers that I'm dropping on. This icon here, or this logo here, I dropped on. The track plan itself is a layer, and when I start adding text, you'll see another layer. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a scale layer here, and I'm going to scale that back. And this is kind of sort of just by guess, by golly. And actually what we're going to do here is I'm going to do the same thing, select the C&W logo, and then do a layer resize on that just to a scale layer. I'm going to do a scale layer on this and just find out how tall it is, 258. And probably what's going to happen is this is going to be too tall for even 258, but we'll have to find a way to balance this out. So we're going to go ahead over here on the right, click on the DM&E logo, and right click and hit scale layer and drop in 258 there. Selecting the quality interpolation is no halo, and scale there. And actually that looks pretty decent. We'll select our move tool, or move tool is already active. So we'll go ahead and drop that in the upper left hand corner. So we'll maintain this as a standard. The current railroad is in the upper left, the predecessor railroad is in the upper right. Move this over just for a little bit of balance here. And then I'm going to go ahead and select my text tool here. Got to move my picture over here to the right a little bit. So then I'm going to go ahead and draw a text box, and I'm going to draw this all the way across the field, and that doesn't matter because we're going to center this text here. And then we're going to want to select, so just enter key the text you want there and go to clean that up just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and go black on those. And since we have this centered in the text box, and we have the text box spanning the whole entire thing here, we might want to go a little bit smaller here. We also want to be able to make it obvious where we are on the layout. And probably we're going to want to select to bring this down just a little bit. I'm going to bring that over just a little bit, and I know that's not going to be centered on the diagram itself, but it's centered between those logos, and we've got a little bit of imbalance between the aspect ratios on the DM&E logo is far more wide than it is tall, and the Northwestern logo is a bit more square, or in terms of its actual footprint. So then what we're going to do here is we're going to label each one of these tracks, and we're going to use a bit smaller font. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not sure that Arial is the font that we're going to go with long term here, but I'm just using this to illustrate. You can use whatever font you want on it's present on your computer. So I'm going to go all caps on this. And you can kind of, as long as you select where that is, and then you can move it around with the move tool. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up, actually what we can do here is, if we don't want to redo all the properties and stuff every time, we're going to just go ahead and do a duplicate layer. And then magically, I've got a new one here, and I can do duplicate layer, not. So then in order to change the text in that item, all we have to do is click on the item with the text tool selected over there at the left, as I showed you before. And then we're just going to go ahead and click inside. And if I make a mistake, I hit the Control Z. Then that looks like that's pretty much it. All I have to do now is do a save as here to make sure. So we've already got whitewood.xcf selected in GIMP. We're going to go ahead and replace that. This is pretty much ready to print here at this point. So then what everybody's going to want to know is what are the next steps here. So what my intent is that we're going to get these printed in color, and per suggestion of Larry, the DCC guy, I'm going to go ahead and try self-laminating sheets. We could have bought a laminator for this project. I didn't really see the point of going to that much expense. We can buy self-laminating sheets. He says it works great, and that's what he used. And that way he avoided using plexiglass. I don't really relish the thought of cutting and breaking those things. This seems a lot easier to me, and we're going to probably, what we'll do is we'll laminate these and obviously lay these over a piece of masonite hardboard and then drill our holes for the switches and the LEDs. Seems very easy to me. Anyway, we'll get you in another episode on how that goes, but this is how I design or I'm going to design the panels on the layout here. And whitewood itself, just to give you a little explanation, whitewood itself is a double-ended yard, but the vast majority of it terminates over in what is actually the Sioux City yard. So it's just going to be easier to have those switches on that panel here. And the vast majority of the activity in whitewood is just going to be staging type activity, not active work here. So we're going to be lining switches and parking a train, or lining a switch and bringing a train out. And that's about it on just the west end of whitewood. So I needed to be able to move all this up all at one time here. So I created a new layer group by right clicking and say new layer group. And then I was able to drag all the layers that I wanted to move together into that layer group or under it. And you see they're indented here. So I was able to click and drag them around. Now I need to be able to add some text here. And we're going to do a couple of things. And I'm going to write east and west. And basically these are just directions for my operators when we get that far. So I'm going to label west, and we're just going to go ahead and do a layer and a duplicate layer, and then guess what that's going to be. And then I need actually one more little piece of information here. And then we're going to do the move icon to put this up here. And I kind of feel like that should be given a little bigger billing than what we have it as. So we're going to go with 100-point text there. And black is fine. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to expand that a little bit, and we're going to center that under the town name Whitewood. As we get into things later, you'll see why I'm putting the elevation there, but for the time being, just know that I have a purpose for that. And I need east and west also not to be in that layer group. And I need east and west also not to be in that layer group, and I want to move these out to the edges just a little bit here. I think that looks pretty sharp. What about you guys? So we're going to hit save on that. So what are the next steps here with this? The intent here is to print these in color, obviously, and get them laminated. Larry, the DCC guy, put in my head a idea in another YouTube post of his that he was just laminating his. He eliminated the use of that plexiglass. You have the trouble of cutting it and drilling it and have the possibility of it breaking on you. Why not just laminate this sheet and attach it to a piece of masonite hardboard, and then overlay your switches and your LEDs and all that type of thing. That seems very reasonable to me, so that's what we're going to try here. That's for another episode, but hope you enjoyed this little tidbit here about using a couple of pieces of free open source software to get these panels drawn. They look amazing, and we'll see how they come out actually. But realistically, I'm very pleased with this. So I hope you like this content. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys.